Hey everybody, thanks for watching my channel. My name is Lena, founder of Jaded Nutrition. Today's topic is all about sugar. Now this has been a really big request for most of you, and it's been a topic that's really on the forefront nowadays. Why are we so addicted to sugar? There has been tons of news articles talking about sugar addiction, how damaging it is, but on the same hand, lots of experts will say everything in moderation. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the mechanics of sugar addiction, what sugar does in our body, both physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I want to talk to you, I want to address all of those things in this video. I'm going to try and keep it short to a minimum. So here we go. Sugar is addictive. This doesn't come as any surprise, I'm sure. But why do we gravitate towards sugar? What makes us keep reaching for more? First and foremost, sugar is in basically every processed food that's on the grocery store shelves. And processed foods make up majority of a grocery store. So no longer are we staying around the parameters of the store with the fresh produce and the meat, but all of those aisles in between are loaded with processed food and they're loaded with sugar. Not only are we bombarded with marketing for sugar from food companies, but when we go to the grocery store, it's the first thing that we see. And guess what? It's cheap. So people eating on a budget are going straight towards those processed food, which inevitably will have sugar as well. So there's that aspect of it, is sugar is very inexpensive. So again, people who are on a tight budget, maybe families that have lots of children, single moms, or just people that don't make a lot of money, to get them to eat a whole foods diet isn't going to be as realistic for them as going into those middle aisles and grabbing processed food when it's half the cost and it has double the shelf life. So there's that point of sugar addiction. The chemistry, the mechanical part of sugar addiction is that it sets off a hormone response in our body. The minute it touches our tongues, we are flooded with feel-good hormones. So dopamine, serotonin, all of these start to flood our brain, and we keep reaching for more because it feels good temporarily to eat these foods. So that body chemistry keeps us coming back for more. We also secrete insulin, which gives us a high. So it peaks and then it drops. And when that drop happens, because of that significant sugar spike, that keeps us reaching for more. So the more sugar that we consume, the more insulin that we secrete, the faster it drops and the more we want. It's kind of a vicious cycle. The notion that we eat sugar because we have a lack of willpower is not necessarily so. That hormone response is so strong inside of the body that no matter how much willpower you have, you're not going to be able to stop eating. So that's the chemistry part of it, is that really strong insulin, feel-good hormone response that happens when we eat sugar. So it's cheap. It creates a temporarily good feeling. And lastly is it's emotionally satiating. So that sugar, because it creates those feel-good hormones, it does exactly that. It makes us feel good. So when we are feeling low, when we're depressed, when we're stressed, our appetite is deregulated. Those hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, they are out of whack and we want to eat. And we don't want to reach for carrot sticks or broccoli. We want to reach for something that comforts us, that satiates us on that hormonal level. So we reach for sugar, fat, and salt. because it makes us feel good. So that emotional response keeps us reaching for more sugar. There's so many aspects of a sugar addiction that it's not just, well, I like to eat sugar and I like the taste of that, so I'm going to keep eating more, because it's deeper than that. There's all the marketing that happens, the marketing to children that food companies do, the bliss points of processed food, that right ratio of sugar, fat, and salt that they put in a food to make it blissful when you eat it. It's the low-income families that can't afford healthy food because processed sugary food is so cheap to manufacture. It's the emotional part that we gravitate towards those comfort foods when we're feeling low, because that's what temporarily helps to satiate us. Now, sugar in moderation sounds like a good idea, but can we really moderate something that has such a strong response both on a physical and an emotional level and a societal level? Can we really regulate that? Can we say, I'm just going to have one cookie and that's it? Because of the nature of sugar, you're not going to be able to eat just one. So to moderate something like that is a great notion, but it's probably not going to work for you. Sugar is toxic to your body. It's not just, oh, maybe a little bit sometimes is okay. It's not good for you. If there's one thing that you could cut out of your diet that would change your life, it would change your health, it would change your energy, it would change your weight, it would change your complexion, it would change your digestion, everything, it's sugar. It's refined sugar and it's processed foods, which have tons of hidden sugars in them. Sugar, fructose in particular, the sweet part of sugar, cannot be metabolized in your liver. It instantly turns to fat and you accumulate liver fat, contributing to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So you don't even need to drink alcohol to get liver disease. You could just eat high amounts of sugar and you would get it. You would be sick. Sugar is at the root of so many different diseases because it takes nutrients out of your cells and leaves it bare. So it doesn't just add nothing, it actually takes nutrients from you when you consume it. It's at the root of diabetes, it's at the root of heart disease or metabolic syndrome, it's at the root of fatty liver disease that's non-alcoholic, it's at the root of ADHD. You want to talk to parents that have kids with ADD or ADHD and you look at how much sugar that kid is consuming, and I bet you they are like downing juice boxes, eating sugary cereals, sugary yogurts. You cut sugar out of that child's diet and you watch what happens in 3 months. That child will be different. They'll behave different because there's a hormone response going on inside of their body. And there's so little, they can't control it. And so they burst out in emotion, just like adults do, but then we throw them on medication for ADD. Now, I'm not coming down at parents that do that, and maybe some kids legitimately do have ADD, but why not look at their diet first? Why medicate when we have the ultimate health insurance right in front of us, and that's what we eat? So I'm really, really passionate about consuming sugar and getting it out of our diet as much as possible. I'm not talking about fruits and vegetables with natural sugars. Those are fine. I always say no one got fat eating apples or bananas. No one gets fat eating fruit. But they do get fat drinking juice. When you take the fiber out of a fruit, like when you juice it, you take all that fiber away and your insulin immediately spikes and then it immediately drops. So drinking fruit juice, again, sounds like a really good idea and a really good idea for your children, but fruit juice is no different than soda. It's no different than giving your kid a can of pop or yourself a can of pop. It's fructose, it's liquid, and it's going straight to your liver and turning straight to fat. If I could give you my best advice for cutting sugar out of your diet and starting to do it slowly, because the addictive nature of sugar, if you consume a lot of it, you are going to go through some withdrawal symptoms, is to start with liquid sugar, juice, pop, any kind of sugar sweetened beverage that's going to go straight to your cells right then and there and has no fiber whatsoever. Cut that out of your diet first and foremost, because that is what's going to make a big difference if you consume those foods. And then starting to look at other foods that you consume. Again, if you eat a diet that's full of processed food, then you're going to have to look at ingredient labels. So you look at your ingredient label and look at the sugar amount. If that says more than 4 grams of sugar per serving, it's high in sugar. If you look at the ingredient label and sugar, cane sugar, raw cane sugar, dextrose, maltose, anything with an ose or sugar, if that's within the first few ingredients, that food is full of refined sugar. Now, there's a lot of people that ask, well, what about maple syrup? What about cane sugar, coconut sugar, honey? Those are all kind of better choices, but at the end of the day, sugar has the same response inside our body, no matter where it comes from. Maple syrup, honey, coconut sugar, molasses, those are going to be a little bit more nutrient dense, so they still have some nutrients in them, but it's still sugar, and it still has the same response inside the body. So again, you can moderate it if you can, but if you're eating foods that are still full of honey and maple syrup, it's still going to have the same response inside of the body. The best way to combat a sugar addiction is to get rid of sugar, and minimal amounts. I'm not saying that you have to cut it out completely. You don't need to go completely overboard, but sugar from drinks, soft drinks, juice, from processed foods, anything that has refined sugar in it, that needs to go. That is, first and foremost, that needs to go from your diet if you know that you're the type of person that eats a lot of sugar. If you're struggling with overeating, with excess weight, metabolic syndrome, sugar, you've probably heard from your doctor, sugar is one of the first things that needs to go. Again, don't worry about fruits and vegetables or sweet potatoes. Worry about those refined carbs that have no fiber added to them. That fiber or healthy fat is going to slow the release of insulin. So a handful of almonds and a can of soda is going to have a very, very different effect inside of the body. Now, that cup of almonds may be high in fat, which is not a problem. A lot of people think it is, but it's not. But not only are those almonds full of healthy fat, but they're full of fiber. And so the release of insulin is much slower. That can of soda, it may be less calories and 0% fat, which looks very appealing, but the insulin release, there's like 48 grams of sugar in 1 can of Coke. That's 2 O. Henry bars. The insulin release from that can of Coke is going to be so fast and so rapid that it's going to leave you crashing. So what's better, the almonds or the Coke? Well, obviously the almonds, right? Fat is not the issue, sugar is the issue. It's not fat that's led to our obesity epidemic. It's sugar. Sugar really is at the root of disease. And when we can get free from the hormone response that happens when we consume sugar, we're going to feel so much better. So much better. That's what I have to say about sugar. I would love to know what you think. If you struggle with eating sugar, what kind of sugar you consume on a daily basis. Thank you so much for watching me. My name is Lena. Please subscribe to my channel, my YouTube channel, Jaded Nutrition. Give me a like, give me a follow, and leave me a comment below. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.